My name is Scott, and I created a page called Virtual Gun School. One of the primary purposes for creating this page was to talk about firearms, firearms safety, and to distinguish lies that are constantly being fed through the media, newspapers, and other publications. So with that, today I wanted to talk about assault rifles. If you watch any news, local news, world news, we hear about assault rifles commonly, very, very common. Probably far too much. So let's talk about assault rifles. Okay, to be classified as an assault rifle, I printed a picture, I thought this would be easiest. It has to have something which is called selective fire, okay? And there's 3 settings for selective fire here. It shows safe, fire, and automatic. So on this particular weapon, you have safe, so if the gun is set in safe and you pull the trigger, it should not go off. You have fire. If the gun is set in the mode you can see in the picture, every time I pull the trigger, it will go off. 1 pull, 1 fire, 1 pull, 1 fire, 1 pull, 1 fire. This particular gun has automatic, so if I was to pull the trigger, the gun would continue to fire until the magazine was empty. That is an assault rifle, a military assault rifle, all right? Here's another example of it, probably even more common today, is the 3-round burst. So safe, which this gentleman put no pew, fire, which would be again individually pulling the trigger, and then the third part of selective fire would be 3-round burst or pew pew pew. So if he was to pull the trigger or she was to pull the trigger, it would fire 3 rounds and stop, and I'd have to pull the trigger again and 3 rounds and stop until the magazine was empty. So selective fire is something very important to understand because the common AR-15 that you can purchase does not have selective fire. So selective fire would be if you're FBI, CIA, military contractor, or obviously overseas fighting, whatever the case may be, you would have some form of assault rifle more than likely, or you could. You're not going to walk into your local gun shop, you're not going to go to the gun show and purchase an assault rifle. You would purchase an AR-15, which I don't know if you can see or not, but it has 2 settings on it. One is safe and one is fire. Now when this gun is in fire, if I pull the trigger, it goes bang, and then I have to pull the trigger again, and it goes bang, and again and again and again. And in this case, until my magazine is empty. So obviously it's still, obviously a very deadly weapon, if you will, however you want to classify it, but nonetheless, it is not an assault rifle. And I think it's very important if we're ever to come to any common ground and any common sense gun laws from either one of the sides that we understand what we're talking about. Very recently there was a sit-in in Washington, and there was a lady and a gentleman that were both screaming, this happened probably I guess a week ago, that they wanted to ban assault rifles and machine guns for civilians to purchase and this sort of thing. The only problem with that is we already have federal laws in place. If I had an assault rifle here in my home, in my possession, it's a felony, and you better have a team of good lawyers or I'm more than likely going to prison, along with losing all my firearm privileges. So they were sitting in for probably a lot of reasons, but it's an absolute fact. If you watch the video, it's very clear. They were screaming that they wanted to make sure that there was laws in place to not get an assault rifle or a machine gun. There are laws in place, and you cannot purchase an assault rifle or a machine gun. Now you can certainly purchase one if you pass a federal background check that looks like an assault rifle, but it is not. And again, this is the AR-15. It shoots the 5.56 NATO round, or commonly known as the 223 round, okay? This gun is the LWRC Reaper. It's an AR-10. It would be the big brother to the AR-15. And once again, maybe for some people a little scary looking, it is not an assault rifle. It shoots a larger bullet, which is the 7.62 by 5.1 NATO, or the 308. Again, virtually the same bullet. Nonetheless, you may or may not be able to see, but this gun is on safe and it goes to fire. If I'm on safe and I pull the trigger, the gun most certainly should not go off. If I put the gun on fire, I have to continually pull the trigger each time until, in this case, I have a 20-round magazine, it's empty. So the other thing that we hear all the time is that these guns are capable of, I've heard 500 or 600 rounds per minute and this sort of thing. Well, the thing about that is most magazines for an AR-15 are 30-round magazines. I mean, there certainly are some that carry more or less, but you're not going to fire this gun 500 or 600 times in a minute. If you have a military assault rifle, which we cannot purchase, it stands to reason that you could certainly get a lot more rounds out as fast as you could change these magazines out and continue to engage your firearm. But that's not going to happen, and that's not what's happening here in the United States with the horrible shootings and things that have happened. These are semi-automatic AR-15, and this is a semi-automatic AR-10, okay? I even have even larger variants. This gun is made by a company called Nemo Arms, and it shoots the 300 Win Mag, but once again, it has safe and it has fire. If it's on safe, the gun shouldn't go off if I pull the trigger. If it's on fire, I have to individually pull the trigger each time for the gun to go off. Now, another reason I brought this gun out is I was listening to something recently, and New York Governor Andrew Cuomo, I think I'm pronouncing his name correct, said, I'm going to quote what I had heard. He said, "No one hunts with an assault rifle." And that's not my words. That's not something that I added in. Those are his words, that nobody hunts with an assault rifle. Well, first things first, this isn't an assault rifle. I can't buy an assault rifle, and probably anybody watching this without a specialized license cannot get an assault rifle. But even if he was talking about this, for people say, well, he's talking about this gun, I do hunt with this gun. I've shot elk with this gun, which we enjoy eating, and I've shot other big game animals. We shot a buffalo with this firearm, and we've been enjoying that table fare now for the last few weeks and given out a lot of great quality meat. But people absolutely do hunt with guns like this, and they are not assault rifles. So with that, I hope you enjoyed this video. I'll certainly get better at this, and there'll be a lot more to come. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to write them down below. Thank you.